This review is intended for individuals who do not own the Edge of Darkness edition of Escape from Tarkov. This is specifically for people who are going to be purchasing Escape from Tarkov Arena separate from the base game. For those of you who are EOD owners, you already have this as a part of your package. Make sure that once you receive access, go give it a try for yourself, form your own opinions. I think most players will come to a lot of these same conclusions that creators, people on Reddit, Twitter are coming to, but make sure you go and form your own. Arena can be very fun, but it is also so far from an esport that it's almost nonsensical to recommend it to people who enjoy that type of game. I'm going to really cut to the chase with this video and just hit you with the quick and dirty for Tarkov Arena. For those of you who are going to be purchasing it as a standalone package, I want to go over quickly the performance, progression, the competitive side of the game, and the fact that it's an in-progress beta. I think those are the 4 areas that are going to be very important for you to understand before you buy into this product. For some context, I've played 112 matches of Arena. I've played all the game modes. I've played on all of the maps, and I have put a good chunk of time into a single progression line, which we'll talk about later. So that's some background on my experience with Arena so far. Let's just jump right in. Talking about performance, I have a 4080, an i9 13900K, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and this game still stutters, hitches, and does not hit the 144 you would expect from an esport title, right? I get better frames on factory and labs of the main game than I do in Arena. I don't feel like for BSG, to be branding this game as an esport, they can have performance hiccups like this. I've seen some people say their performance is perfect, and some people say they get worse frames than the main game. I'm kind of in the middle. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. There are particularly issues when the cleanup crew, I forget what they're called, when the AI bosses spawn at the end. I have some issues there. It's just really not, to be a competitive game, to be an esport game, there has to be such a cleanup of the performance to actually make it clean and competitive. So just keep that in mind going in, to just kind of get a better understanding of how you might be hindered based on your hardware, unlike in games like CS or Valorant. Let's jump in, look at progression here. So progression is probably one of my biggest sticking points with this game. To get one of the kits, right? So how it works is they have tech trees similar to War Thunder and other free-to-play games, but it takes about 50 or more hours to get down to the bottom of a single tree, right? So you're spending 50 hours grinding the same kits over and over and over. While you're doing this, because you get more XP on wins, your elo is going up. As your elo goes up, you're playing against other people who have also been grinding to get these kits. What that means is, let's say, hey, I've been running CQB and I want to switch over to run Marksman. If you switch, you are going to be at the worst tier of gear on the Marksman side, going up against people who have spent 50 hours in a single tree. You get absolutely decimated. There is no current way to level up another tree unless you want to lose every single match you go up against and just not be competitive. You will lose over and over and over, so you see a lot of people who are running one kit, one tree, that's all they're going to do. On top of that, there is a chance that BSG, as they've already shown in some of their balancing changes, they will go in and modify and, air quote, balance these kits. What that means is if you spend 50 hours to grind down to the bottom tier and you go, yes, I finally got the kit I want, they could retroactively say, actually, we're going to change the ammo type, we're going to remove this, add a different sight, and the thing that you grinded for, that you actually wanted, could be completely terrible now or busted, but you're stuck in it because you're going up against everyone else with high tier kits. So you have to keep that in mind as you're putting all this time in, is that at any moment, your kit could change and they could go and change that. There is no other way to currently level up your kits. The only mode is ranked, so you're always going to be leveling up your elo and going against people who are, higher tier, better gear, so you can't walk backwards. It's a really, really incredibly frustrating experience. My personal biggest sticking point in this progression is that Tarkov Arena is also going to wipe along with the main game. So what that means is when Escape from Tarkov wipes about every 6 months, Arena and all of your progress will also wipe. So that 50-hour grind you did to unlock that kit, you have to do it all again. It's not there's better ways to do this, and I'm not here to give solutions right now. I can talk about that any other time, but I think right now it's just putting it out and so you know what you're buying into as a product. There is no way currently to save any of the progress. So if you spend all that time unlocking a kit, you might have it for only a little bit of time, game wipes, and now you're back at square one. Everyone's back at square one. That's good, but also it's 50 hours completely wasted. For a competitive esport, right, it's not worth it. It's, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. That's terrible. Jumping over to the competitive aspect of the game, it is very rock, paper, scissors, right? It's very much less a skill check and saying who's the better player, and is instead, much like the main Tarkov game, a gear check, right? So you have these people with Altons, so the large helmets with face visors that can't be penetrated by a lot of different ammunitions. You have those people going against people with 9mm, and the 9mm just bounces, where people could take 15, 20 hits, 30 hits to bring down, and they can in turn one-shot you. It's a very unfun experience. Gear is not factored into the matchmaking at all. It is just the elo. So if your elo tier happens to bump up within somebody else's, and I'm seeing it about 500 to 800 is the range, like the swing that I can play against. If I'm 2000, I've gone up against 2800 people. There is no rhyme or reason with that elo system. It's incredibly frustrating. So you will get absolutely dumpstered by some of these people that have, infinitely more games than you do. Better kits, they'll just wash you. 5-0 blowout. It just happens, and you just have to kind of move on and deal with it. So the maps themselves, the maps are incredibly unbalanced. They're not bad, but there's a lot of visual clutter, just like the Tarkov main game. Frustrating, happens, just keep that in mind. There is only one objective game mode. It's basically secure area. A point will drop on the map, and you have to stand inside of it. They're always in very central or open areas, so everyone can see you. You have to stand on that for 10 seconds. It was bumped up this morning. Unfortunately, that 10-second timer, on some of the maps, if you're in an area, you cannot physically get to the other side in 10 seconds. And some would say, hey, well, you should have been there. You should have been there. But because of how some of these classes are balanced, some of the classes don't even have painkillers. And if you don't have painkillers, if you're shot in the leg, you are hobbling. You physically cannot make it over to the other side of the map. There is nothing you can do. It is not competitive. There is no retake. It's not CSGO. You're not flying back and retaking site. You just lose, and everyone knows it. They'll just, especially if you get one of those bigger guys with the Altons laying on the site, and you've got, a black leg and a 9mm. It's just not, there's nothing competitive about it. Everyone knows. Everyone kind of laughs about it when they lay down on the point, because it's a win condition. You just happen to be in the right spot. It just happened to be at the right time, and they secure the win. One of the other things that I feel like removes a lot of the competitive aspect of the game is if the game goes on too long, because there's no objective like a bomb, right, with a defuse timer, so it kind of gives a 30-second timer or whatever, 20 seconds to kind of play off of. A lot of games will run the timer down to the end, and that's when they send in the kill squad, which are the same broken AI that are in the base game. They have incredible accuracy. They will sprint right towards you. They have the aimbot and ESP. They know where you are, so there is no chance for you to survive it. They just keep coming infinitely. Not only does it tank the performance of the rounds, but it also means that there's going to be these high-geared AI bots that just spam you, and it just comes down to who do the bots track onto first, you or the enemy. As we saw at DreamHack when it was the big $100,000 esport tournament, multiple matches were won because the AI bots went and flooded a team, right? If it was I think it was one scenario, there was a 4v1, and the timer ran down, and the AI bots went and sweeped the 4-man that was left, and the one dude won that match. It's just, when you're looking at something from like a competitive aspect, that makes no fucking sense. Makes no fucking sense. It's not competitive. That says, right? It seems like to me it was a band-aid fix for an issue that they saw in QA. Hey, the rounds are running down. People are just kind of sitting. What do we do? And well, let's make AI go after them, and we'll just kind of flush them out. Instead of the band-aid fix of pushing AI, just have an objective like a bomb in CSGO or in like CS, right? Because then it's 20-second retake. The round is going to end if they don't take it. And if they don't plant, just make the attackers lose, right? Like, that's just, it seems like nonsensical. The other 2 points for the other two things for the competitive aspect. So clothing is, there's no way to distinguish, no reliable way to distinguish whether somebody is friend or foe. There's just armbands, red and blue armbands. and you're not consistently red, not consistently blue. So you're constantly trying to remember, oh, which one am I shooting? Not only that, but there are a few kits where their base shirt is blue. So their clothing top is blue, but they might be on your team and you're the red team. So you see blue, you start shooting, and then go, oh shit, he's got red armbands. There's no way to tell. It's incredibly unimmersive. It's just terrible design. I understand why some people might say, well, for realism's sake, we can't have little dots over their head. I don't fucking care. That's fine. But this is a competitive esport, is what they're trying to make it. So it's just know what you're getting into. The last thing for the competitive aspect, dude, you get plus 25, minus 25 elo for a win and a loss. It's completely the same. There is no, there's no momentum system. You'll never get more. If you beat the best players in the world and you're the worst player in the world, you get 25. If you dumpster some, new kids with crappy gear, 5-0, you get plus 25. It's such a slow progression system that doesn't reward anything you do. The actual, there is no skill involved. It's just static, right? A lot of these games have a better balancing system that incorporates some of your performance, or how well your team did, or how close a game it was, whether it went to overtime, and those are kind of factored into your elo changes. This game completely disregards that. I'm sure it's going to change in the future, but just so you know what you're getting into at this point. I think the last thing I want to note, that it is an in-progress game. It is a closed beta, so they're changing things all the time. While that can be cool, that's also incredibly frustrating, right? It's missing basic modes, customization, the progression system is terrible, and one of the plans is to eventually tie this game to the main game. So if you do not purchase the main game, you might be at a significant disadvantage to those who have access to their entire stash, their money, their gear. Who knows how that's going to tie into Arena yet? They've said a couple different things that they might do, but we don't have any confirmation yet. It's just, there are so many unknowns about how they're going to handle this game. Who knows how fast maps are going to come out? Who knows what kind of tweaks are going to be made there? Who knows how much commitment they're going to do to revamping the performance? I just don't feel that as an esport title, it is worth purchasing it right now if that's what you want it for. If you want it as just like a small piece of Tarkov, just take it as a slice of Tarkov. So, overall, in conclusion, whatever final, in summary, whatever you want to slap here, I would wait at least a year if you don't own Edge of Darkness. If you own Edge of Darkness, like I said earlier, jump in, give it a try. If you don't, it is not... If you don't, and you want a game like CSGO or Valorant or Rainbow Six, and you want these quick competitive matches, you're not going to find it here. That's not what this game is. Not yet. And maybe it won't ever be. Maybe it will be. I would say give it a year, see where it's at. I don't believe right now it warrants its price tag. But again, just my opinion. You saw my credentials earlier, how much I've played of it. Feel free to let me know. I'm sure there's people who disagree. If you want to say that in the comments, totally cool. Just trying to look out for you. I don't think it's worth spending that money, honestly. But anyway, thanks for giving it a watch. Thanks for giving it a listen. Y'all have a good one. Merry Christmas.